Hey, Linda, thank you very much for joining us.
I'm excited to be here, Farookh. Let's do it.
Absolutely, all the way from California.
Yes.
You have something special. You have greatness in you. No, this is not a photobomb by Lynda West. I'm endorsing her book and I'm endorsing her as a speaker and trainer because she's making a difference in life. Have you ever thought about the fact that most people go to their graves with their greatness still in them? And guess why? Because of fear. And Lynda has written a book. She dealt with fear for years, and now she's written I think, a blueprint that will allow you to create a path for yourself to overcome fears and save yourself time and money. Come on now. I encourage you to get this book. It's great. Each chapter is engaging. It's designed to transform your mind and allow you to get out of your head and get into your greatness. Lynda M. West, my sister, she's bad, baby. Make sure you get it. You have something special. You have greatness in you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, I know that you are a very popular red carpet interviewer. I know that about it. But I want to go back to some olden days because most of my guests who have sat here right in front of me, they're very popular people, but everybody has that story, which is painful story. And I believe that it's that painful story that made who you are today. What is that pain? What is that pain? Because it's just like an iceberg. We don't see anything that's happening underneath. We only see the Lynda who is very well known with top star speakers and motivational speakers and authors and all those. No, we want to know what made you who you are today.
Yeah. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored and blessed to be here today.
Thank you.
And, actually every day, right? Aren't we all blessed to be alive? And so
Absolutely.
I totally hear you. Yes, I did not start on the red carpet. I wasn't born on the red carpet. So, it's like a lot of people I know, I had a somewhat troubled childhood. My dad was was extremely volatile alcoholic who was very abusive. And so he actually took everything out on my mom. So I grew up with a lot of guilt because anytime I would do something wrong, my mom would get hurt for it. And so I grew up with all this guilt. Well, something that a lot of people don't know is that I actually ran away when I was 5 years old and I was
My
gone
goodness.
for an entire week. Yeah. I was gone for an entire week and I ran away because I had so much fear and I was like, I don't want to live here. I just want to live somewhere else. So I ran away and I was gone for a week. Well, my mom knew where I was, but I didn't know that. And so after a week, she called up the neighbor. I ran away to the neighbor's house and she called up the neighbor and said, Linda's been gone long enough. You can go ahead and send her home now. So I came home. I was 5 years old. And what happened in that moment is when I started to kind of shrink and shrivel up inside of myself, I became scared to talk to people. I became scared to say things. I became scared to do things because what if something would happen and mom would get hurt for it? Well, unfortunately, I married somebody just like my dad. The first marriage, I was 19 years old. I got married, and by 21, I had two babies. I had a 14-month-old and a 4-week-old. I put a diaper bag and a purse over my shoulder, and we walked out. I was like, I'm not living my mom's life because I realized that I was emulating what she had gone through. And what's crazy about it is all those fears that I had from all those first 21 years of my life, I carried into the next 30 years of my life until I was 51 years old. Now, when I was 51, a lot of people, we go through this thing where we're searching, like, what's the purpose of life? Why am I here? Well, some people discover it earlier. I didn't discover it till I was 51 when I hired a life coach. And this life coach helped me to discover like who I am, what my purpose is. And then I could start living my life, like I say, on purpose instead of on accident, which I had been, living my life prior to that. I will say though, I was very fortunate when I was 25, my kids were 3 and 4. I met, the love of my life, my husband, who I've been with now for 30 years, absolutely amazing guy. I just love him. He supports me in all my changes, cause when I was 51 and I had that life coach, I realized that, oh my gosh, I don't like working a job. And it wasn't that like, I don't like working a job, but I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. I was pushing papers around, like just pushing papers around at different jobs here and there. By then I had 49 jobs. So a lot of people don't have 49 jobs, but I had 49 jobs, and I realized the reason I had so many jobs was because I would go into one job, I would learn all I could. There was no room for growth. So I moved to another job, learned all I could. And I did that 49 times, just different jobs. And I decided to leave my corporate job when I was 51. It was November of 2014, and embark on my journey of saving the planet. Here, I'm going to save the planet. That's why I'm here. Yeah. So I started on that journey and trying to figure out, what does that mean? How am I going to do it? How can I make money doing it? And figuring all that out. So I spent the next 4 years figuring all that out. In the meantime, I ended up having an opportunity to be on the red carpet. It was at the Academy Awards after party last year. So in 2018. And it was funny because when I had this opportunity, when I reached out and asked, I was so scared to ask. So I was just scared to ask them if I can do this. And they said yes. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be on the red carpet. That was it. So then I ended up appearing on the red carpet, and I tell you, within seconds, I just sunk into, this is me. This is one of the things I do really well, and just go ahead and do it well. And I had an absolute blast, and I'll be there again this year, and I'll be on the red carpet every year from here on out.
Wow, that's absolutely fantastic. Lynda, one thing that let me go back and let me ask you a question. How important is parenting?
In parenting?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know if I was the best parent. I was really young. I was 19, when I had my first, and my second, I was 20. My kids tell me I was a great mom, but I beg to differ. I had some, ups and downs. I grew up in a volatile alcoholic household. That was what I saw. And that's what I saw was life. I didn't know there was anything different. And so, not that I was abusive to my kids. I wasn't an alcoholic. I actually tested myself to see if I was an alcoholic, because they say it's hereditary. But I discovered that I'm not an alcoholic at all. And so I didn't have that. And I wasn't abusive, but I did have a sharp tongue sometimes. So sometimes some of the things, words, there's a saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And it's totally opposite. Sticks and stones will break your bones, but they'll heal. Yeah. But words won't heal until you work on them. And that's why it was 51 years before I could get these words out of my head, that I had heard from my dad and my ex-husband, So parenting, though, it all starts at home. It all starts at home. It's so important to allow your kids to learn and grow as themselves instead of what you want them to be. They're human beings. They have free will themselves. And yes, they're going to make mistakes. Yes, they're going to hurt themselves, but that's how we learn, even as adults. Absolutely. We learn our lessons as adults. The pain that we go through, where they say that your pain is where you gain. I don't know if I believe in it that much, but
so here you go, Lynda. What is that one advice you could give to those listeners, those audience who are here and who are suffering right now, or have gone through the same scenario and situation that you have gone through? What would be that scenario? You might be in that scenario, or you might have gone through that scenario, but you don't have to live in that scenario right now. What is that advice?
Yes. Yeah. Oh gosh, I just got goosebumps with you asking me that question, because this is such an important question, because, we go through life with whatever situation we're in that muck, and we're in it, and we don't see the possibilities that are out there in the future. Yeah. And so this is what my recommendation is to find somebody who's doing what you want to do. Wow. Find somebody who's living a life that is emulating what you want, and go and talk to them and find out how they can mentor you. Because even though you might be saying, yeah, that's a bunch of bull, I don't believe it. How can life ever get better? Look at my life. This is also, tragic and stuff. It can get better, but it starts here. It all starts here. Everything starts here in the heart. Yeah. So reach out to somebody who can help you get there. There is somebody, and they can help you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing that advice. Now, let me take you to the next part of your life. You had gone through all that sort of struggle, but at the age of 51, everything changed. And it all changed with the help of somebody, what we call as life coach or transformation coach. What is the importance of a life coach in your life?
Well, the life coach sees who you really are. So before I had my life coach, I saw myself as a loser. My ex-husband told me every day that I was worthless and people were only nice to me because they felt sorry for me. I was stupid and ignorant. So I heard all those negative words about me and I believed them until she saw something different in me. And because she saw it, she knew that she could help me to discover who I was. So she asked me the right questions at the right time and helped me to unfold what was like embedded in here and say, wait a minute, my ex-husband is wrong. I'm smart. I'm brilliant. I'm this, I'm that, like all these different things about me that were really, really hard for me to admit at the beginning because, when we were growing up, like, don't be conceited. Don't say good things about yourself because people will think you're stuck up or whatever. So I had all that stuff playing in my head. So if I say I'm brilliant, then I'm going against what those people said. Yeah. But just, having that life coach to help me unlock, like, discover who I am and the brilliance that I have, and that now it's time for me to use that brilliance and to share that with other people and help them grow also.
Wow. So what are the three things that you were able to identify as your potential, the hidden potential that was there inside you, but you were not aware of that until you turned 51? What were the three things that were wow to you?
The first was, like, I remember it clear as day. The day that I discovered I actually have value. So I was sitting in a conference room attending a workshop. And at that time, I was really scared. Like, I had a lot of fears in my life. As a matter of fact, like, just touch really quickly, I wrote a book called The Year of Fears because in 2015, I faced a fear every single day. So by facing a fear every single day, I broke through a lot of fears, but I still have fears. They're just few and far between. So I was sitting in this workshop and the lady putting on the workshop asked a question and I raised my hand and I stood up and I answered the question. And then I sat down and I was trembling, like I was shaking like crazy. But the two women sitting next to me, both of them said, "That was brilliant. Can you repeat it? Because I want to write it down." It was in that moment that I said, I literally said this to myself. I remember it. Like I said, it was clear as day. I looked up into the lighting, up in the room there, and I was like, in myself, I have value. It's time for me to start sharing my knowledge with people. And it was that moment that I was like, wow, I'm going to start sharing my knowledge. So that was the biggest one, I would say. Then, and that would be like number one. And number two was when I realized that I was judgmental. Yeah. Like, I was so judgmental. I think we all have judgment. I think it's just part of human nature. But when I discovered it, like, actually, I said, oh my God, I'm so judgmental. This is crazy. I don't want to be this way anymore. And I made a conscious effort to change my judgment. So now if I find myself judging, something or someone, I can notice it really, really fast and just say, change it. Get out of there. Like, don't sit there, and realize that that's a human being, and to see people as humans rather than a way to judge them. So that's my number two. And then my number three would be, just breaking through those fears. Facing a fear every single day for 365 days will humble you, and yeah, it's crazy. And it was the biggest lesson I learned throughout that entire year was I learned that you can gain confidence by breaking through a lot of fears. So I started speaking on stages. I started being interviewed on people's shows, getting on TV shows, like not TV shows, but like a TV news, casts and stuff. And I started putting myself out there, something I never would have done before because my ex-husband told me I was stupid and ignorant, right? So I was like, why would a stupid and ignorant person go up and do these things? Exactly. Well, because I realized breaking through those fears, I realized that I wasn't stupid, I wasn't ignorant, and I can go out there and share my voice with people. So those are my top three things.
Wow, excellent, excellent. There are a lot of people. Now, this is again one advice from your side. There are a lot of people who are going through the fear factor right now. And as you and I know, the fear is something that we create, we develop here. Though it may not be true, sometimes we create it here. And they stick on, they become very judgmental, saying that I am not the best, I am short, I am dark, I am whatever it is. You start telling yourself that you're not the best when you start comparing with other people. And at last you end up in that dark world. What is that one advice that you would like to give to that people, or whether it is male, female, anywhere in the world? What is that one single advice that you would like to give who are there in that dark den right now? There's a light, but they don't see the light. They are still in the tunnel. What is that one advice you would like to give? Because your life changed completely. It has gone 180 degrees completely. What is that one advice that you would like to give?
I'd say again, going back to that, seeking counsel. So what happens is when we're in that dark state, again, when we look for somebody who they seem unattainable, right? They seem unreachable. But the reason that they seem unreachable to us is most likely because it's somebody we'd really like to be like, or we'd like to be around them or something. And I say, find somebody inside of your circle or outside of your circle who is that person, who is that light to you, because they can help you get there. Now, the thing is, like, when you do that, don't try to bring them down. Try to allow yourself to reach up and say, I'm ready. I'm here. I want to learn. I want to grow. I'm open. One thing I did that was really instrumental for me was I said to myself, it was like 4 years ago, and I said, I am open to all criticism.
Wow.
Because I realized when people were criticizing me, I would shrink, I would shrivel, I would be defensive, I would be angry. I had a lot of emotions around criticism. And so once I became open, I said, I'm open to all criticism. It actually changed the way criticism came to me. And it wasn't because it changed, it's because I changed.
Absolutely.
So again, everything starts with us, but find somebody who's doing what you want to do. Find somebody who you look up to that will mentor you to pull you out of there.
Absolutely. You just reminded me of something. Many years back, somebody heard me speak and he said that my voice is not good. And today I get paid for my voice. Let me tell you, today I get paid for my voice. And there's somebody who said, you can't face the camera. And today, every single day, I face the camera. Last year, somebody said that my language, I mean, my first language, which is called Malayalam, that's not good. From this year onwards, I said, doesn't matter. I'm going to come on camera. I'm going to speak that language, though I got a broken language, but still I'm going to face the camera. I'm going to face the fear. I'm going to talk in front of the camera. And today I get appreciation saying that you're doing very well. So do not trust people who criticize you, but take that as a feather on your shoulder saying that I'm different from others.
Yeah, because criticism, right? A lot of times when people are criticizing, it comes from two places. It can come from hate or it can come from love. So I'll just really quickly share a story because I said, I was really serious. Like, I'm open to all criticism. And then about a week after I made that declaration to myself, a woman came forth and criticized me like the hardest criticism that I could have taken at that time. She told me that the reason she wouldn't invest in what I was doing was because the way I was dressed, the way I did my hair, the fact that I didn't wear any makeup, and I didn't take care of myself. I mean, she says this to my face. And so I was so glad that I was open to criticism because you know what I said to her? I said, thank you so much for caring about me enough to tell me this. Absolutely. Because look at what I got to learn from her. Absolutely. Instead of me going like, ew, I don't like her. I was like, just be grateful to that. But then you take the stuff that works for you and let the rest of it just fall through your hands. You don't need to hold on to it all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now let me go to the third stage of your life. After 51, you got into speaking engagements, you started got into interviews and so forth. By now, you have done round about 2,800 interviews, live interviews. That is shocking. Let me tell you, you are the very first person sitting right in front of me who has done this many number of interview, and that too live interview. How did you get into that?
Well, I actually got into that about 5 years ago. A young man I know, he was born with cerebral palsy, and he's now 36 years old. But he was born with cerebral palsy, and he asked me if I would do a video for him one day. And I was terrified. I was like, I wanted to say no, but I couldn't say no to him. Like, I always say yes to him because, you know, he has his life on a 24-hour daily basis is more difficult than mine. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do a video. So I did a video, and I was so scared. I posted it on Facebook. And then the next day he said, Lynda, I really like your video. Will you do one for me every day? And I was like, every day, you know, and I said, yes, I said, yes. So I made that commitment to him to do a video every day. So I like to say, you can blame Ryan for all my videos, but oh my gosh, what it helped me to gain, you know, as far as, again, against confidence, it just has helped me to, I can be in front of a camera. I'd rather be in front of a camera than being behind a computer nowadays. You know, it's so much easier and faster.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are a lot of people who would like to be speakers and motivation speakers, or it could be professional speakers in any areas of their life, and or to be a coach as well. What is that one advice you would like to give them?
Well, the one thing is, if you want to be a speaker, and I have had the pleasure and opportunity to sit with Les Brown. You know, he's an international motivational speaker. He's absolutely amazing. But he sat with me for a couple of hours, you know, just talking about my life. And then we talked about my signature speech and stuff like this. The biggest piece of advice that I heard from Les in that 2-hour session, like, I got a lot out of it, of course, but the biggest thing that stuck with me was, Lynda, don't let what you want to say get in the way of what your audience needs to hear.
Wow.
Because I believe that oftentimes our fear is caused because we're so internalizing, like, what are they going to think of me? Again, judgment, right? What are they going to think of me? Is my hair going to be okay? Am I going to stutter? We're thinking about ourselves. When we can stop thinking about ourselves and think about, how am I going to impact somebody's life out there? There's somebody out there who needs to hear what I have to say, and I'm going to change somebody's life today. If we do that, we can get rid of that fear. Like, I don't have any fear when I speak because I always think of the audience. I don't think about myself at all. It's not about me. It's not about me. I'm just a voice and a person who's out there delivering content to these people. You know, somebody out there needs to hear it today.
How do you find yourself when you are on the red carpet and people see you, admire you, respect you, and they dream to be like Lynda?
I don't know if that's the case, but if it is, that's cool, you know. So I'm on the red carpet interviewing stars. So I'm with, like, I have a cameraman, and then I have my microphone, and I'm interviewing the stars. It's so much fun to be there. All I can tell you, Farookh, is that me being there is fun. I have a blast. Just like you're doing right now, interviewing people. I'm very inquisitive. I have a lot of questions. And so I love interviewing, and I hear I'm pretty good at doing it. For those, though, who look at that and say, I could never do that, or I wish I could do that. You can do that. Really, it's easier than you think, because here's what my mentor told me. He was like, Lynda, they have 100-foot red carpet. They have to have cameras there. They have to have interviewers there, because those stars are expecting to be interviewed. So you're doing them a favor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing them a favor by being there. So, you know, anytime I want to be on a red carpet, because there's a bunch in California, there's a bunch of red carpet events. So any red carpet I want to be on, I just reach out to the organizer and ask if they're looking for any media people. And if they say yes, then I'm in, you know? So it's really that simple.
So in other words, you need to knock the door.
Yep. Knock the door. Yep. They might not open it, but you know what? If you don't knock, they for sure don't open it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the second thing that I learned from you is you have to change the perspective. Rather than saying that I need a job, you go and say that they need me.
Yes.
You just change
exactly.
You just change it.
Yeah, and that helps you to go into it with different energy, right? Instead of that fear energy, you're going in like, oh, I'm helping them.
Exactly.
I'm helping them. They need me. And then if you get rejected, it's okay. Just go to the next one. There's another door. There's a whole bunch of doors to knock on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lynda, today you're changing the world of people around, and especially women. And you have a very strong mission and a mission statement as well. Would you
Yeah.
like to share that mission statement?
Yeah, my vision and my passion is helping over 1 million women to discover their voice and then to share it with the world. That's what I discovered my purpose is. My purpose here, because I was stifled, like we talk about, why we're doing what we're doing. A lot of times it goes back to our childhood. So
Yeah.
I was stifled. I didn't speak out because I had all these fears behind it. Then once I discovered my voice, now I've discovered how to help other women discover their voice. And I believe that once we discover our voice, we need to share our voice with the world. Because again, there's somebody out there that needs to hear your story. They need to hear how you had all this, junk in your life and how you've, come to this successful place that you are now.
Mhm.
And so that's my mission, is to help 1 million women to discover their voice and then to share it with the world.
Wow. Here's one advice from you again. There are a lot of people who do not know what is their purpose, or they do not have a mission, or they don't have a mission statement. You found your mission statement after you turned 51. It took a lot of time for you to identify what is the real purpose of Lynda to be on this planet. There are a lot of people who are living and dying this planet, but they have no idea why are they on this planet. What is that one advice that you would like to give them?
Well, there's actually a YouTube video out there called "The 7 Levels of Why,"
Mhm.
WHY,
Mhm.
and that video is, I watched it several times to really to whittle down at these 7 levels. So you start, like, the question would be, for example, I might ask the question like, why do you do red carpet interviews? Okay.
Mhm.
And then I would say, I do it because I love it. And then you would say, why do you love it? And then
Mhm.
you would work down 7 levels. So the idea of it is to see where you actually end up with the why you're doing
Mhm.
things that you're doing.
Mhm.
So I actually did this for 2 weeks. This is all I did for an entire 2 weeks. I
Mhm.
just drilled down on everything I love doing, everything that I was doing, that I really enjoyed, whether it was something making me money or something that was just for passion. And so I worked all of those down. And what was very, very interesting is
Mhm.
that almost every single thing that I was doing, the why went down to when I was 5 years old and I ran
Mhm.
away,
Mhm.
because that stifling in that very moment, this is why I remember this story so much, because that stifling in that very moment at 5 years old, when my mom had me come back home, and that's when my voice, like, I quieted my voice at that time. So
Mhm.
that stifling right there is what I'm helping other people to stop doing, is to stifle their
Mhm.
voice. That's
Mhm.
why I do all the stuff that I do.
Everything that you do is one way or other connected with that why.
Yep. For me, yes. Now, not everybody has the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
same,
yeah.
but yeah, but for me, yes. Like,
Mhm.
I lead a mastermind of women, because I want to help them to grow their business. I want to help them share their voice and, discover and share their voice. And I do, like, speakers open mic events, and those I do because I want to give you that voice, that place that you can share your voice. I do, what else do I do? I know, doing the red carpet interviews, another opportunity to help people to share their voice. So everything I do is about share your voice, share your voice, share your voice.
Wow. The very first book that came on personal development, everybody knows that. Most of the coaches, most of the speakers, they all know about this book, and that is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it was in that book they spoke about mastermind. And
Yep.
Lynda, you have a group of mastermind. And for those who do not know mastermind, you can explain what mastermind is. And you have a perfect year, that is 2022. That is what you're looking for, your mastermind. Tell me more about that.
Yes. Well, so first, Think and Grow Rich. There's the Think and Grow Rich book, which was written back in, I think it was the late 20s, early 30s
Yeah.
of 1900,
Yeah.
20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And then, but it's interesting. I actually started reading that book about 30 years ago, but I didn't get it. I just didn't understand it. And it's like that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, the
Exactly.
teacher was there all the time, right? Think and Grow Rich had been around since the early 30s, but this student wasn't ready yet. So
Yeah.
I didn't become ready until I was about 51. And I actually read Think and Grow Rich for Women. which is a much, much easier read. So if you're having a difficult time reading Think and Grow Rich, try Think and Grow Rich for Women. But the mastermind is 2 or more collective minds that come together that have a common purpose or common result they want to achieve. So a lot of times in business, we create a mastermind of, people in a group who will mastermind together. They all want to grow their business. That doesn't mean they all have to be marketers or they all have to be, book writers. It's just that they have to all be able to participate in the mastermind by sharing thoughts and ideas. So I created a mastermind called Next Level Experiential Mastermind. And this mastermind, I have this whole grand idea of what this is going to look like in 2022, like you referenced. My vision is that my mastermind, it's online. It has 2022 women in this mastermind by 2022. And I had that vision because I know that the mastermind that I'm working on can grow to that level. I already have the platform already and everything is ready to go. I just need to fill the slots, and I just need to, get there to help these women to change their life, to help them grow their business and help them change their life at the same time. And it's so exciting because I've been doing it for 3.5 years, but I did it for free for 3.5 years with a couple of friends. And I finally launched it as a paid program, just in November of 2018. And so it's exciting to see it to start to take shape, and move along. I know it's an amazing program. I've been doing it. I've had success with clients. One of my clients doubled her income in a year. Another one, she put on her first 3-day event, something she wanted to do for years and was too scared to do it. So I have this ability to help people break through fears and have them do the things that they're not doing because they're too scared, which is so cool. It's that's my superpower.
Lynda, it was a pleasure having you on board. What is that one advice in general you would like to share with our international audience around the world?
Yes, thank you. This is my advice that I love to share as often as possible, and that's to live your life with no regrets. My mom, my mom with my dad, he was abusive. When my mom got to the end of her life, she said to me, Lynda, I have so many regrets. There's so many things I didn't do because I had so much fear, because she lived her life for my dad. And so I decided at that time that I was going to live my life with no regrets. So if there's something I want to do, I'm going to make every effort to do it. If there's something I don't want to do, I'm going to not do it. I'm going to live my life with absolutely no regrets. And so I highly recommend that you figure out how you can do that. Again, seek counsel if you have to, but live your life with no regrets.
Wow, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Lynda Sunshine West.